And I think this is a discussion we've had here on Soccer 360 regarding the academies here in Kenya and just how, I don't know, what's the right word to use here, how not active they are. I think that's the right word I could use that. How not active they are, Judith. And what are you trying to do with these academies? What are you trying to implement?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. So this academy that we hope to develop with our own is something that we want to do it from so differently.
I think I've lost Judith there. Let's just touch on academies. I think we'll get. Okay, she's back. She's back. Judith, can you hear me? Hello, Judith. I think we've lost her there. Let's just go on with that. Football academies here in Kenya, we've discussed this, how they're just not as active as we'd like them to be, and we know here is where our future stars are made. Yeah. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on these academies?
Salim, you can start.
Delvin, first and foremost, if the top hierarchy is messed up, all these others follow suit, Delvin. Because if there was the structure, let's say at FKF was right, all these other lads will play their part. And we talk about first and foremost, you have these under-13s and the under-10s. You don't have the right facilities for them, Delvin. You're nurturing nothing because they have got to play in the right surfaces at that age at 10, because we have seen time and time again the likes of Jordan Henderson. They are doing basic stuff in a world-class style because they have been through world-class facilities. They look like world-class players, which they are not, because if you're nurturing someone who is young, Devin, you've got to offer them the best equipment or the best tools for what he's trying to do in the future. So we talk about academies not being set up right, but it boils down. I cannot blame the academies. My entire blame lies with the FKF Federation because it's being run like a chicken house.
I wouldn't throw blame at FKF because, you see, as much as we like to do that, honestly speaking, when it comes to academies, it is you as a club's. It's your project. It has nothing to do with FKF. It's for me to pass down my knowledge of what I know. You understand? We can't always, and you know, this is one thing that we tend to forget. Clubs, Gor Mahia, AFC, these are privately owned clubs. They're not government-owned institutions. It's not Harambee Stars' academy. It's a very different thing when it's Harambee Stars having an academy for kids. But we're talking about the top, let's say the top 5 clubs in Kenya. It is their duty to have proper clubs, academies that nurture other stars to come and play in those teams. Because in Europe, what do we do? What does Manchester United do? What does Arsenal do? The clubs are there to nurture players for the first team. So if Tusker FC has a club that's nurturing from 10-year-olds to come and play at some point, play in that has nothing to do. It's a club's individual duty for me, I feel, to have those clubs.
I agree with you, but basically, what is the essence of academies in a country is because they become a nursery to naturally the national team. Yeah. So if I have an academy, Delvin, and I'm nurturing all these kids and they become a nursery to the national team, they go there and they get messed up, their allowance is not being paid, they go and sleep in airports connecting flights in other countries. I wouldn't want to put all my eggs in all that one basket of making sure these kids become products or become useful to the national team. So I think for me, as much as Nicolette is absolutely right, but then again, if the football, the general federation in a country is being run well, naturally, it just becomes something normal for the academies to be run with a proper structure.
But also, let's be realistic. Sometimes as a player, you don't want my aim is not necessarily to play in the national team. Maybe my aim is to play in an international club. You understand? So it has to start from a club, a well-known club in Kenya.
But for any footballer,
that's where scouts would look.
But for any footballer, it's every player's dream to play for the national team. So. It's every player's dream.
Let me get Judith into this. Judith, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we were discussing here the academies, and you were telling me something before we lost connection with you. I had asked how you're implementing these academies and how you're planning to make them successful in the long run.
Absolutely, yes. First of all, it's in our kind of setup, we were hoping the first people that are going to come in, we don't even want to have a huge number. We're limited to the ages from 6 to around 14. just have a small number, like 20 people. And for as long as the person is in the academy, they're provided with boots and the full kitting. And this is something we wanted to offer that is different from the conventional way of academies, how they run themselves. This is just not just focusing on the talent development. This is on character development, have life skills training, and also mentorship, you know, have people, even people like you, just come to talk to those kids and, you know, not everyone who's in an academy pursues a professional career in football. So it's giving a break. You don't know who you're inspiring, you know. So that was our kind of way to just offer something different that actually promotes the holistic development of the child. And most of the academies nowadays, I think that just there's the whole idea of the academy business. Everyone just wants to open an academy without even having any knowledge of how to run one or any basics, you know, on how to manage it. So I believe that had really messed up the whole academy business in Kenya. I even had someone who told me he was a foreigner, and he told me he came back and he came to Kenya and saw some kids playing, and was like, what the hell, what are they doing? So it was something that the coaches, it was something so basic with how they were playing and how they're being trained. And this just shows the lack of awareness on how to actually run the academy business. It's just something that people do nowadays because there's money. So, and I think that has really messed up with our quality of players. And yes.
You talked about not all the players that are going to be involved in the academy will be pursuing football as a career. But I want to challenge you with a question here. Let's say of the 20 players you do have, let's say 4 of them want to pursue a career in football. What's the certainty that they'll all get into a professional club?
Certainties, that's something you can't really tell, especially in the local context. I mean, you'd literally go for trials and have someone else who was not even on the trial being selected on the team. So it's something that we are looking to establish, something sustainable that will actually push their careers. As Arrow, we are developing more partnerships in the long term. Something that is still in the cooking, we are working to develop a student athlete program where players are able to go to summer camps in different places across the world. And this is something I don't want to lead on to so much, but it's something that we are working to build a partnership more solidly. And as soon as everything is a go, it's something we want to have, you know, to promote the holistic development of the kids, not just their talents. Yeah.
Okay, and are you in partnership with any clubs? For example, let's say, not a Gor Mahia, I'll use another team, for example. Let's say Kakamega Homeboys. Probably you tell them, well, they can be coming to scout your players.
Yes, at the moment, not yet, but that's definitely something we are considering in the long term. Yes, that's for sure. We need to have something like that. Yeah. Okay,
now back to studio. There was an argument here going on between who is to blame for the poor running of the academies here in football. So let me say the FKF. Nicolette, you mentioned it's the club's responsibility. But don't you think that FKF should probably try make it mandatory that every club should probably have academies? I
think FKF should start with first making it mandatory that every club should actually pay their players before they even start making it mandatory for them to have a club. Which is why I'm saying it's not everything that you can hold FKF accountable for, Salim. Like seriously, as much as we love to do so, we can't. It's a club literally. It's literally a club's duty to do so. But before even they start having an academy, they have to be audited, they have to learn how to use their funds properly, not directors using funds for personal gain more than, you know. Like the problems are so many within a football club.
But I know Nicolette is talking like that because she's a confident one Nick Mwendwa.
I'm not! Gosh! Stop spreading rumors on national TV.
But then again, because for you to have all these academies, they have to be, let's say, FKF certified. So whatever FKF does has got to play right into the hands of all these academies, because if they also do run their business, they keep on embezzling funds, because all these academies look up to FKF, how they run their stuff and all that. So if FKF themselves are running their business wrongly, trust you me, Delvin, the structures in most of these academies won't be right.
Now, I think we have about 10 minutes left before we wind up on the show. So last questions to Judith Macharia before I let her go. regarding amputee football, or in general, football in general?
I wanted to ask, because I was asked to ask this, because there are people out there who are interested. They want to make their kids turn pro because they don't trust in Kenyan football at the moment. So this blessing in disguise. So they were asking, do you rope in all, just only established footballers because I understand it's an agency also of some sort. Do you just rope in professional footballers, or you also go in these tournaments like Chapa Dimba and the national school games to tap your talents from there?
Really, really good question. That's really that's something you brought up, and I think it's really crucial. Normally, the kind of players that we give priority to are mostly these upcoming players. We are not so invested into the already made players, if I can call it that. We don't want to focus so much on them because they have their own structures and have their own ways, as much as we want to incorporate as well. We want to focus mostly on upcoming athletes, and Chapa Dimba is definitely one of the places we are looking to indulge more. Ronald, of course, happens to be one of the mentors for the Chapa Dimba, so that's a really good addition for us. We're able to get to the players, the upcoming players that are really in need of this. Yes.
Okay. Nicolette, any question you'd like, in general regarding football?
I think I've asked all my questions.
You've asked all your questions have been answered. Okay, Judith Macharia, thank you very much. Let me just say congratulations on the things you've been doing in terms of all these projects you're handling. Of course, there's more to discuss with you, but time won't allow us to do that. But I'd gladly like to have you on for another session. Maybe you can come with some of the amputee football team players here on set, and we can have a proper discussion. Now let these guys give you a send-off first and foremost before I sign off.
Okay. I think for us, it's thank you for educating us more about amputee football.
And mental health as well.
And mental health as well, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just say if we had 5 or 10 more like Judith, Kenyan football will be in a much better place right now. So thank you for all you do.
You've had the praises, Judith.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope next time you're going to talk about women's sports, because yes, I'm down for that.
Oh
yeah. We'll definitely be touching on women's sport as well. We did touch on that this past Saturday, but we'll definitely touch on more topics next time we have you here on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and do have a good afternoon.
You too.